Hi folks, Vipin here. Today we're going to discuss what RBI does. RBI being the Reserve Bank of India. So we've all heard about this institution. So what does RBI do? Now before I get into the functions of RBI, let me just tell you what RBI is fundamentally. Now RBI is a statutory company which has been established for regulating the banking sector. Now, how do they regulate the banking sector and the allied sectors related to this? So, firstly, apart from regulation, what is it they do exactly? One, issue of currency notes. Now, RBI's network of banks is through which the currency actually gets distributed. RBI is even responsible for the security that is there on currency notes. In fact, you might have heard in recent news, notes which date to prior to 2005 can in fact be exchanged for new ones. The reason they did that is because the new currency notes have got better security than the previous ones. So apart from circulation of currency notes, they even put the security on these currency notes as well. The other one that you have there is the banker to the government. Now in one of my videos on public debt, I mentioned that the government of India raises money from external sources and in fact from internal sources. So how do they in fact raise money from abroad? Let's say they contact IMF. IMF would transfer money from their account to RBI in India, and RBI in India in turn transfers the money to the government. This is in fact how RBI acts as a banker to the government. Banker's bank. Now this happens when banks want to borrow money from RBI. Now there are two types of rates that you would come across: repo rate and reverse repo rate. Repo rate refers to the amount of money, the rate of interest which RBI would charge when a bank would borrow money from them. Reverse repo rate is the other way around. When RBI takes money from a bank, how much would be the rate of interest paid by RBI to the bank? That's what you would refer to as a reverse repo rate. So when a bank is say short of funds, and if they want to borrow some money, they can in fact borrow money from RBI. That's what they mean by a banker's bank. And then credit control. How does RBI control the credit flow in the country? One way in which they control the credit flow in the country is by issuing treasury bills. Treasury bills, or T-bills as they are called. If RBI feels that there is an excess amount of money in circulation, they have banks and financial institutions buy these treasury bills. And when they buy these treasury bills, the amount of money in circulation is reduced, and therefore when the amount of money in circulation being reduced, inflation can be reduced. This is something which RBI does, or this is one of the methods which they use for controlling credit. Money market regulator, I mentioned something called treasury bills. Treasury bills are a money market instrument. There are three types of treasury bills: 90-day bill, 181-day bill and 362-day bill. Now when you buy a treasury bill, you are in fact making a short-term investment. Money markets are a type of market where the instruments have a maturity of anywhere between 1 day to 1 year. Unfortunately in India, money markets are not as active as they are in the rest of the world. Forex custodian, foreign exchange custodian. Now RBI happens to be the controller of foreign exchange in the country. Now you and I can't buy dollars at a low price and in turn sell them at a high price. Now for example, let's say I bought $100 by exchanging rupees when the price was 50 rupees to a dollar. Now it's hovering at around 62. I cannot sell these dollars back and make a profit. The only person allowed to do this would be RBI. RBI is the one that actually regulates the foreign exchange reserves in the country, and RBI has put in very strict rules when it comes to foreign exchange utilization in this country. Lender of last resort. Thankfully I have not seen RBI do this, but if the worst case were to happen, you might come across a situation like what the European Central Bank did when it comes to assisting the bad debts crisis of Greece. Now let's say hypothetically, fingers crossed, India gets into trouble like what Greece has got into. We are unable to pay our debt. Now when we are unable to pay our debt, the central bank will interfere here, and worst case scenario were to arrive, they might do something like what happened in Greece. Print new notes and go about clearing the debt. Now that's the simplest way I can tell you how the Greece crisis is being solved. But if that were to happen in India, RBI could in fact end up doing that. So that's what they mean by lender of last resort. So far so good. Indian economy has been extremely stable. The financial system, I believe, has been extremely stable only thanks to RBI. So I really hope that function there doesn't become active anytime soon. The other functions of RBI: agricultural financing through NABARD. Now NABARD is an institution for agriculture and rural development. What does RBI do here? Through the network of RBI, the NABARD's functioning is possible. Thanks to RBI, NABARD has been able to even link its facilities with cooperative societies and cooperative banks as well. So that's how RBI is indirectly playing a role in assisting NABARD. Then research functions. In many college libraries, including the one where I work, there is a bulletin published by RBI which talks about the performance of banks. Now RBI does research every other day, and they publish these reports, and these reports are freely available for people to download and people to read. That's one of the research functions of what they do. Special functions, training and seminars. Recently RBI had conducted a 100-hour seminar on how to recover bad debts. Now there's been a lot of problems, especially when it comes to ICICI Bank, the rough handling and the manhandling of customers who've not been able to pay back the loans properly. So to avoid these things from happening again in the future, RBI has in fact held a seminar for debt recovery agents, and these recovery agents are taught in 100 hours how is it that they're supposed to in fact recover money from a customer without having to manhandle them and without having to harass them. Now these are in fact some of the functions of RBI. I hope you found the video helpful. If you have any queries, do leave them in the comment section below, and once again do subscribe to my videos, and thank you. Bye.